Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. At least 146 people are now reported to be dead after a typhoon slammed into the Philippines on Thursday, with casualties expected to rise. Typhoon Rai, which saw winds of up to 195 kilometers per hour before making landfall, is said to be one of the strongest tropical storms to hit the country this year. Rai, at one point, intensified to a Category 5 storm, the highest classification. It damaged homes, toppled power and communication lines, and displaced more than 400,000 people. The storm was eventually downgraded to a Category 2 storm by Friday, but heavy rain and strong winds forced the evacuation of thousands of people living along the Vietnamese coastline. According to its state media VTV on Sunday, strong waves and wind killed a fisherman and sunk 5 vessels. Vietnamese authorities are instructing fishing boats to take shelter with Rai's arrival, and the army has mobilized troops to build sandbag walls along beaches to prevent flooding. Vote counting in Hong Kong's legislative election began late Sunday night for the first elections after a Patriots-only overhaul of the electoral system. The election has been criticized by some activists, foreign governments, and rights groups who argue that pro-democracy parties were not participating in the elections, as candidates were screened by the government before being able to run for a seat. Voter turnout this year is expected to also hit a record low, with less than 30% of voters having cast a ballot as of 9:30 p.m. local time. The record low numbers come despite the Hong Kong government's efforts and last-ditch campaigning by candidates. By comparison, at the last legislative elections in 2016, the turnout was 58%, while local elections in 2019 reached 71%. Both elections led to landslide victories for pro-democracy parties. Pundits say the record low turnout could be in response to the Patriots-only elections. Latvia's Arirang set a new women's record at the Antarctic Ice Marathon on Friday, finishing the race in 4 hours, 6 minutes, and 11 seconds, and surpassing the previous record by almost 14 minutes. The 30-year-old student doctor shattered an 8-year-old record despite having to run on softer snow and temperature lows of -15 degrees Celsius. Known as the southernmost marathon on Earth, the race at Union Glacier also saw a 74-year-old finish the race in just under 8.5 hours. The marathon took place 3 days later than scheduled after a massive storm hit the race location last week. 62 people from 18 countries took part in the 16th edition of the race. 이승재, Arirang News.